that for your
Are we ready?
We're
ready. Are you ready? Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good time. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th.
Hello America, it's an honor yet again to connect with you in my YouTube channel. I'm Marvin for those new here, and feel free to click the subscribe icon and follow my page. If you find this video educative, kindly share to your family and friends. Today we'll be discussing Trump's big beautiful bill that has caused controversy recently. It's big, but it's certainly not beautiful. After 27 hours of non-stop voting and debate, the American Senate passed President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The bill will make the country more indebted, more unequal, and less green. It binds detention centers, floods ICE with worth billions, and hits immigrations with massive new fees. In 2017, Trump promised a big beautiful bill to replace Obamacare, claiming it would provide better healthcare for less money. That bill will never be materialized, and efforts to repeal the ACA failed in Congress. He also talked about a big beautiful bill for immigration reform, which he said will secure the border and fix the legal immigration system. Again, Congress didn't pass such a comprehensive bill, and most of this immigration agenda was done through executive orders. Let's watch the following videos and see how Americans are reacting to it. Make sure to watch to the end so we can get a clear conclusion on the subject matter.
Trump's big ashy-ass bill has been passed. And I just want to say, before y'all start with the kumbaya, this is not the time to point fingers, we need to all come together, that's not going to happen. I'm pointing fingers. I don't know what y'all going to do, but I'm pointing fingers because there are specific people who are responsible for this. To all the people that rallied behind Trump during this election blindly because of their overwhelming support for all of the isms, misogyny, bigotry, and all of those things, you are to blame. You're to blame. You're going to be the reason that millions of Americans no longer have access to health care or food. To all the people who voted for him because you thought he was talking to you when he said that there would be financial gain, but you're now realizing that he's actually talking about the people who are already rich, absent of the color of your skin, you are to blame. To all the people who refused to vote for Kamala Harris because she was a black woman, and let's call a spade, and you could not see a black woman or a woman at that running the country, you are to blame. To all the people who thought they were standing on business or trying to be divisive by convincing people not to vote for Kamala Harris because you believe she supports genocide abroad, but you did not think about what would actually happen inside the country that you currently live in, where plenty of marginalized people are being hurt, are not eating, and are missing out on healthcare every day, you are to blame. Now there are millions of people in our country with disabilities and who identify as senior citizens who will no longer have access to the care they need to simply live or to simply eat. And the rich will be getting tax breaks that are unbelievable for absolutely no reason at all. Tax breaks on taxes that they can afford to pay and are choosing not to because they want to preserve their wealth and watch the poor suffer. The truth is that y'all will let racism and misogyny prevail every time, because that's more important to you than the lives of the most vulnerable people in our country.
Here are the winners and losers from Trump's big beautiful bill. 4 winners, 4 losers. Winner, corporations. Permanent tax cuts equal bigger profits. Investors win too. Losers, our kids, adding $3 trillion to the national debt. We're just kicking that tax can down to the next generation. Winner, high earners. SALT deduction cap raised from $10,000 to $40,000. Loser, low-income families. 12 million families expected to lose Medicaid coverage over the next decade. Winner, waiters and bartenders. Tips are now tax-free. Loser, healthcare workers. Medicaid cuts means 5,000 fewer jobs in the field. Winner, fossil fuel companies. Big boost from rolled back regulation. Loser, Tesla. EV tax credits? Gone. That's 4 winners and 4 losers. Are you a supporter of the bill?
No matter who you voted for, the big beautiful bill has just passed the Senate, so here's how it'll affect you. Let's see if you fall under any of these categories. If you're a service-based worker like a bartender, waiter, hairstylist, who earns tips or works hourly and gets overtime, you can now keep 100% of your earnings without having to pay federal tax on it. This means it'll save you about $1,300 a year or about $100 a month. Nothing too crazy, but better than nothing. Now, if you have kids, the child tax credit went from $2,000 to $2,200. And if you or your parents are retired and get Social Security, you don't have to pay any federal tax on it anymore, which is actually a really great thing. Now, if you're one of the 78 million Americans that are on Medicaid, you're at risk for completely losing your health coverage. This is because $1 trillion is about to be cut, which means you'll have to pay out of pocket for doctor's visits, surgeries, medications, or completely go without them. If you're on food stamps like SNAP, the bill does make it harder for you to qualify. Overall, the cuts to Medicaid and SNAP affect people who make less than $40,000 to $60,000 a year, pregnant women, children, seniors, and people with disabilities. So in conclusion, if you're wondering if this will affect you, basically, if you make less than $50,000 a year, you will actually end up losing money because of tax changes and program cuts. But if you earn more than $155,000 or even millions and billions of dollars, you'll actually see your income grow because of tax breaks and deductions. So which category did you fall under?
Look, I voted for Trump, and I'll be the first to tell you that I'm not down with this big, beautiful bill. And let me tell you why. People say all the time, oh, you Trump supporters are in a cult. No, we're not, because we are not in blind obedience to one individual. We are more than willing and happy to criticize our own, and that is how it should be in the political arena. We see so much in this big, beautiful bill that actually is the opposite of much of what we actually voted for. We see a continued increase in spending, unnecessary spending. Not only that, but we also see the increase and encroachment of AI. We see funding of pet projects that we do not agree with, and we are going to raise our voices against it, as any well-educated electorate should do. You know, Elon Musk is right in calling it a disgusting abomination, and I think that the Trump administration needs to realize just how damaging it will be if we wind up passing this bill, continue this trend of wasteful spending, and then wonder why individuals don't show up in the midterms to vote for this continued irresponsibility. The reason people voted for Trump is because we want to see fiscal responsibility, we want to see an end to waste, fraud, and abuse, and we don't want Republicans to say one thing and do another. That's what people on the left are very accustomed to, is their politicians saying one thing and doing another. They're just used to it at this point. They have Stockholm syndrome. But we demand better, as we should. That's why I myself, and many others like me, do not agree with this big, beautiful bill and want to see it actually redrafted to only include the things that matter to average, everyday Americans. Those are my thoughts, and I'm curious what yours might be.
I just read all 954 pages of Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, and what are y'all tripping about? We've all heard no tax on tips, but Donald Trump wants no tax on overtime pay and no tax on the interest paid on loans taken out for American-made cars. Not only is that a good incentive to buy an American-made car, but it helps the car manufacturers in America as well. Hello! Also, if you got a kid, Donald Trump is raising the child tax credit from $2,000 to $2,200. This bill isn't just about taxes. Donald Trump is strengthening up our border as well. You remember that wall Donald Trump wanted to build during his first presidency between Mexico and America? It didn't get built the first time, but it's getting built now! On top of that, Donald Trump isn't requiring us taxpayers to fund benefits for undocumented immigrants. Are you okay with someone breaking the law by entering our country and then taking your taxpayer dollars? I'm not! This bill also provides billions for our military. New ships, new submarines, we're getting new missile defense, the Iron Dome. We're about to be impenetrable as a nation. We're already #1, but it's just like sprinkles on a sundae. I know I haven't talked about Medicaid yet, but I want it to be its own video because I don't think y'all know what Medicaid is. Now, I honestly can go on and on about this bill, but it's hot as fuck in this car, and as you can see, I'm sweating my ass off.
You know what I don't get? How you can't work 80 hours a month. People are really losing their minds because that big, beautiful bill got passed today, and I know you liberals and you Democrats is mad as fuck right now. No, we're gonna lose our SNAP and our Medicaid. And did you guys even read the fucking bill? No, because you guys don't read. If you cannot work 80 hours a month, which is part-time, then you don't deserve SNAP and you don't deserve Medicaid. Like, it's ridiculous how people are trying to fearmonger the unintelligible because people are just too lazy to do research. 80 hours a month. 80 hours. There's people putting that in 1 week. I'm working at least 50 hours a week. And that's before overtime. So it's just really simple that people are just lazy and they just want to sit on their fucking asses and collect government assistance without actually doing any work. You see my baby? You guys, it's not that deep.
With so much political bias in the media from both sides, it's hard to get an objective view of what's actually changing. So I'll try to lay out the full picture as best as I can, with the pros and cons and arguments from both sides. To start, in one sentence, it's cutting taxes but also cutting welfare benefits. The catch though is that since it cuts taxes by $4 trillion but only cuts welfare by $1 trillion, then we'll have to borrow $3 trillion to make up for the difference. Democrats argue that these tax cuts mostly help the rich, while these welfare cuts only hurt the poor, meaning it's stealing from the poor and giving to the rich, while Republicans argue that they're cutting taxes across the board, not just for the rich, and that the only parts of the welfare they're cutting out are the waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. So what's the truth? Well, let's break this down, starting with a basic overview of how the taxes will get cut so you can know how much money it'll save you personally. The two biggest tax cuts are actually mostly about just keeping the current tax rates in place. For context, in Trump's first term back in 2017, Trump cut taxes across the board for all income groups and for corporations. And he also doubled the standard deduction, which has saved most of us an extra $2,000 a year or so in taxes. Those tax cuts were going to expire at the end of this year, so our taxes were going to go back up to the previous levels. But this new law keeps those tax cuts permanent and raises that standard deduction even further. Now, whether you agreed with those original tax cuts in the first place is another story. Democrats didn't like them because even if everyone got a tax cut, this naturally saved rich people and corporations the most money, since they had the most money to tax. This has led some to argue that these tax cuts were just a way for Trump to give his billionaire and corporate buddies a free handout, while some argue that this made doing business in America more attractive. There's also a lot of talk we hear about things like no tax on tips or an estate tax cut for the rich, but the total dollar impact of these is actually very minimal unless it specifically applies to you. Alright, and what about those welfare benefits that Trump is cutting? Will 17 million people really lose healthcare while 50,000 lose their life? Well, not really. These estimates have been spreading around a lot, but if you read how they came up with those numbers, it's kind of deceptive. The actual change is mainly that if you want to receive Medicaid, which is free healthcare for those living near poverty, then you must now work at least 20 hours a week, unless you are disabled or you have young kids. So you will probably like this policy change if you're concerned about freeloaders in the system and you don't want unemployed dudes just chilling there while we pay for their healthcare. But a big counter argument to this is that if you lose your job, you might now lose all your affordable healthcare options. This is because most Americans either get healthcare covered by their employer or by a program like Medicaid. Well, if you get fired now, you lose both. So you'll now have to either A, pay full price for private health insurance, which is several $100s, or B, just pay out of pocket for hospital bills that could be tens of thousands of dollars. And the irony is that when you're fired and don't have income, well, that's when you're least able to afford either option. Food stamps are also getting hit with a similar change where you have to work now to get them. So there are similar pros and cons. These are the largest changes, but there are a lot more policies in this new 870-page law as well, like no more clean energy tax credits, more military spending, more mass deportation funding, less generous student loan terms, and a higher child tax credit. So if you combine it all together, it basically means that the lowest income earners may get poorer if they lose their welfare benefits from being unemployed. But if you're at least in the middle class, then you will get several $1,000s a year richer from the tax cuts. But we have to talk about the catch, which is the $3 trillion to borrow to make this happen, which could be a big deal because we already have so much debt now that the interest payments we make on it alone in the red line here are now higher than our entire defense budget. That and our government spending in orange is already way higher than its tax revenue shown in green. So this $3 trillion will basically push these lines even further apart. This seems really irresponsible, but Trump's counter argument is that these tax cuts will grow the economy by a lot, like by 5%, which gives us more money to pay off this debt. On the other hand, independent research firms don't think we will grow the economy by 5%, and most think it'll be near 0.5% to 1%. And historically, Bush has said the same thing for his own tax cuts, but there's limited data to show that the math actually worked out like that.
President Donald Trump's One Beautiful Bill Act, which will transform taxes and other federal policies, will be most beneficial to top earners. Trump's mega bill is pure evil. It will make Americans sicker, poorer, and deader for decades to come, all to suck resources out of essential programs like Medicaid, public education, and green energy jobs so that billionaires can get another tax break. It will be the largest transfer of wealth from regular people to the ultra-rich in American history. Republicans No, it could lose them their next elections. Representatives reacted to the House sending the massive tax and spending bill to President Trump's desk on July 3rd, a huge legislative victory for the president. The legislation extends the 2017 Trump tax cuts, includes hundreds of billions of dollars for Trump's immigration agenda, and undoes many of the Biden administration achievements, including clean energy measures. The bill cuts almost $1 trillion from Medicaid and $185 million from SNAP. It will make nearly 17 million people lose their healthcare insurance coverage or subsidies, according to the Congressional Budget Office. In 10 years of watching economic policy, I've never seen a package that was so regressive, that did so much to take money from the poor, give it to the rich, and take it away from the poor. It is the most amazing piece of social legislation in the wrong direction that we have never seen. How will this big beautiful bill impact your family? Let me know in the comment section below, and remember, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you for watching. Bye.